Welcome to another edition of the California Guy video with your boy California Guy. What's up, everybody, and welcome to this video. This is a response video to New Possibilities. I just got through checking out a great video. I wish you guys would check it out. His last video was about segregation and the separation, segregating and building our own nation in America, black people basically. And he talks about the civil rights movement. So it's a response to New Possibilities video. I'm gonna add to the stuff he was saying about the civil rights movement because evidently it was a YouTuber who was critical of New Possibilities in the civil rights movement. And I'm doing this video because I've had encounters with other African American people on black YouTube and black radio shows and even on Facebook and in college even years back. And one of the things that these African American people say is the civil rights movement was not important. And it basically, in other words, it dealt with black people sitting next to white people on the toilet. You got stuff like that being said. So I'm here to, expand on some stuff that New Possibilities said. Shout out to New Possibilities on a very good video. Again, you guys need to check out this video. This guy is a good brother. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, by the way. I got his back, basically, and I really do appreciate the stuff that New Possibilities puts out there. I don't get a chance to go on his stream sometime. I catch the replays, but he's a very good brother. He's a lawyer, and he's very astute. And he knows what he's talking about. So I recommend you guys check out the last video. But let me break down the civil rights movement real quick and the importance of it. Now, I said this in his comment section about civil rights. Civil rights movement, how do you classify that? Okay, pre-1865, pre that period. You had the slave trade that went on in America. And so towards the time of the Civil War, the South's economy was real bad. A lot of the South's economy was bad. And during that time, black people, they were newly freed slaves at the time. There were black people that were newly freed, and these individuals need to be assimilated back into the workforce to make money. So a lot of black people at that time were buying plantations. They were buying plantations that were cheap, dirt cheap at the time, because a lot of the Southerners lost a lot of their properties. A lot of black people started to build business in the Deep South. A lot of them started to, along with the federal government, by the way. This is during the time that Lincoln was alive. And this is before he got assassinated, because Lincoln, he got assassinated around this period. And so a lot of African American individuals, they were gaining a foothold in politics and all that. Southern veterans returned back, and a lot of Southerners, because they wanted the slave trade to keep going. Slavery built money, and it was a multi-billion-dollar business at the time to have slaves in the South. It was building their economy. But they didn't like the fact that blacks had power. They didn't think that blacks were nobodies. So basically, they didn't want the black men to have political and economic structure at that time in the Reconstruction period. This is taking place during the Reconstruction period. Now, if you guys want to read more on it, there's links to it. I'll try to provide some links if I can. But, basically, if you guys, to kind of not bore you guys, basically, the Southerners had a problem with black people having economic and political power in the United States at the time, North and South. So what ended up happening is you had the creation of Lincoln was killed. Yeah, Lincoln was killed, and then Johnson started to move troops out of the South, but they were protecting black people at the time. A lot of black people were in Congress. A lot of black people had economic power. Black dollar was strong at the time. But as time went on, they removed the troops. They got rid of a lot of white Northerners out of the South. And so they started to make stricter laws. They created laws, which was Jim Crow laws in different states, which led to segregation. It led to black people not being able to vote, barring them from voting. It led to black people not being able to compete on the economic grand scale. It stopped them from pursuing their economic they stopped them from a lot of stuff, economics and political platforms that black people was having around the Reconstruction period. So we went into Jim Crow laws, deep Jim Crow laws. So we basically were restricted. Civil rights is important for a couple of key things. It was not to just have the right to sit next to a white person in sinks, but it was to help to have black people compete in markets such as economic, manufacturing, and the whole purpose of the Jim Crow era and civil and the segregation was to see a lot of you black people before I get there. A lot of you black people say, well, we wish that it was segregated like it was in those times, you know, because black people were sticking together. No, you don't want it to be that way because black people were not doing that great during that time period. We were being controlled. See, segregation and Jim Crow apartheid was basically keeping us from making more money at the time because it was all about the money, and it kept us from competing politically because, and we still feel a little bit of what was going on during segregation and the civil rights era. We still feel bits of it because we as black men and black women in this country, black men and black women in this country, black child, we still are 56 when it comes to economic and political power in the United States. They basically ignore that black people today. But at the time, during the Jim Crow era, they basically was reducing black people from having access to making money, to competing in education, competing with many facets of life in the United States to build themselves up to have a better way of life. So that was the basic purpose of ending Jim Crow and having segregation and pushing the civil rights. That's why a lot of civil rights bills that you guys see, like affirmative action, some of parts of the welfare state, parts of job training programs that you've seen that they put in the ghettos, like Cedar program, black colleges. A lot of that was a result of them keeping and barring African American people from getting rights in America and competing. Because the goal of the Klan and the goal of white supremacists at the time was to keep black people from creating businesses and competing with white Americans. They didn't want the competition. So the purpose of the Klan and the white supremacists was to control blacks, because with Jim Crow era and segregation, if a black man opened a business, he could open up, and let me give you guys an example how powerful Jim Crow is. If a black man opened up a clothing store in Mobile, Alabama, this is an example, or Memphis, Tennessee, we go to Memphis, and a black man opened up a clothing store, but you had a white business that had a clothing store, but that black business started to have a lot of black people come into that business. Say a lot of black people were shopping at that particular clothing store. What would end up happening if that white business owner, say the population of whites was small in that town, that population is tiny. If you have a tiny population of whites in that town, but you have more African Americans in that town, and they go into that black clothing store and they're making that black retailer money, guess what happens? That white retailer is pissed off. So what does he do? And this is an example, because this stuff has happened. I'm just giving you a hypothetical, but this is the example that was going on with civil rights and why it's important. They were literally forcing that black man to split the dividends. They would muscle in on that black man and that black family, or if he didn't have a choice, they would burn his store down. They would do stuff like that to get the blacks to come into that store. Civil rights was very important. That's one example that I'm giving. When the economies would go bad in the South, you know, black people used to do stuff like building and construction work, all that shit there in the deep South. Not plumbing, because they didn't have that yet, but they did a lot of construction and roof buildings and all that brick masons and all that shit there. Again, when the whites would lose jobs, the blacks were forced to be out of work. So again, civil rights and Jim Crow laws work hand in hand. We couldn't even vote to even put politicians in power where it would vote our interests. That's why I was encouraging black people a while back to vote, because back in those days we couldn't vote for politicians that would push black interests, because you had over 100 years or 60, 70 years of these laws going hand in hand because they didn't want us to compete. Jim Crow and civil rights wasn't just for black and white kids to hold hands. It goes beyond that. That was a cliche that Martin Luther King mentioned up in his I Have a Dream speech. But he had other things to say too. He talked about economics. He talked about equality and justice for African American people. People say that civil rights is not important. You have a lot of deaths, you have a lot of black men, and you still got it today. You have a lot of black people that were getting killed in the South. A lot of, and North, lynchings. Look at 1865, the lynchings in New York. Yeah, the mass lynching that took place in New York City in 1864. I mean, you had the riots, the draft riots, and Irish people were angry because a lot of free blacks moved there, and they were mad that blacks were muscling in on the places that they're working for, manufacturing companies. So what they did was they lynched black people in New York. Over 100 black women, man, woman, and child was either murdered, killed, or raped. These are facts. 1864 draft riots. A lot of these, and they had no justice. So many different things. The military was segregated. Black men couldn't hold no guns in World War One. A lot of black men couldn't hold guns even in Civil War. Even they didn't want them killing, even though they were fighting for this country to be together. The Civil War, they wouldn't let a black man hold a gun. So you had segregation in the army. Black men got less pay than the white soldiers. White soldiers, they barely got money, but guess what? The black man got nothing at all. He got nothing really. He was maybe heroic in his own communities, but some of them died in poverty. So civil rights is very, very important to black people. Equality and civil rights is important. To say that it don't mean nothing, obviously, the persons or people is historically naive, very historically naive, or they're not knowing the full context of the Constitution, which allows all of us to have our freedoms. And frankly, I believe in the Constitution. I'm a black constitutionalist. So I believe that we have the right and the free will to do whatever we want to do and how much money that we want to make. I'm a black constitutionalist that believe in equal rights, and I believe in the right to live good in this country. I support black people who want to get in the economic game, whether it's working or owning businesses. And I believe in the letter of the law. And I think that I, per se, myself, fight for rights, or I do videos fighting for the rights of African American people to achieve certain goals in this country. Not separating and being offered to another country that's unrealistic, like New Possibility said, but to fight for where we're at right here and learn our culture at the same time, but at the same time, we be on that grand scale. We need to stop talking about this separation talk, and we need to fight for what we have right here in this country. So many black men and black women have served the military, served in the Iraq War, served in Vietnam, black men. World War II, we served in every war in this country. But you have black people that want to tear down their own legacies of Nat Turner, of Colin Powell, and all these people that made it possible for us to advance in this country. And I myself, believe in the Constitution. I'm a black American, and I, for one, stand by black people who believe in the Constitution, such as New Possibilities. He believes in equal rights for African American people. I believe in that also. New Possibilities is a lawyer who fights for equal rights. He's in this game. He's fighting in the game every single day in the courtroom. And we need brothers like New Possibilities. We need brothers to be teachers even. We need brothers to get the education so that they can compete in American society. Because there's no such thing as going back to Africa unless you want to. But all this, we're going to separate and segregate is unrealistic stuff, this fantasy stuff. We need to fight for literal rights in this country. We need to fight for our own rights, our way of life. We should fight to be middle class. We should fight against the statistics of low black people living in poverty, and fight for us moving up our own selves, like Malcolm said, moving up and getting beyond the government helping us, but helping ourselves. That's what we need to fight for. More black men and black women that's wealthy and, upper middle class, not low middle class. We want to teach our black kids about the Constitution. The Constitution applies to them. Equal rights, equal pay, being a manager. So when I hear all these different things about, the Constitution, and, I hear these things about civil rights is not important, it's bullshit. Because civil rights granted me the right to get my education. Civil rights granted me the right to get my bachelor's of art degree. Civil rights have granted me to travel to different parts of this country and the world. It's granted me all that different stuff. And I want brothers and sisters to share what people like myself have. I want people to share that. See, I'm not a black person that looks down on other black people and think that they shouldn't have what we all have. I want them to have. That's why I encourage young black students to go to college. I'm one of the people that's helped gang members and former hood rats to get through college, and they've graduated and were successful. Little things matter, and a lot of the naysayers say, "Well, what have you done for the black community?" And they say, "Well, it's not enough." Well, 5 is enough. If I could get 5, if I could get 1, that makes a difference. If each one of you guys, you brothers out there that's on Black YouTube, could save 1 black person, that's 1 person that we need. If you can't get the whole world, fine. But if you get 1 person, and you can help them, and you can mentor them, and they take your advice, that's perfect. Because I am a realistic person. You're not going to save the world, but you need to save your communities, save your neighborhoods even. And so that's why, me personally speaking, I stand by of everything that New Possibility said in his video, and I think that it will behoove any black person to not criticize his debate with his chat with LA. His chat was very constructive. These were 2 black men having a very intelligent conversation. A lot of black men on Black YouTube don't sit and have these kind of conversations, but him and LA sat. Just like me, LA, and Mike Mills, when we had our conversation a couple of weeks ago on his radio show. Yeah, black men sitting there, nobody's talking about bullshit, but these are intelligent black men sitting there. These are the true intellectuals that sitting together and talking about ideas. There's other ones too. They sit there and talk about different ideas. And, without, people got their disagreements, because I disagree with some things a lot of these guys, some of these brothers have said. Some things I disagree with, but you're not going to agree with everything. But these guys are sitting here having good dialogue, and hopefully these young men will sit here and listen to people like, I want these guys to be like New Possibilities. I want a young black kid to aspire to be a New Possibilities, because New Possibilities, again, is a lawyer, and he fights every day in that courtroom. I want people to be like some of these other brothers and sisters that's on YouTube that's doing these videos, and hopefully they could be inspired by what they see, and sisters too, and not this, because again, I want the black youth and black people to get away from this negative image stuff that they see on TV, on YouTube, stuff that's not constructive. You have black men making these anti-pro-black videos. You got, they do 50 million videos trying to discredit and do these gotcha questions with pro-blacks. They don't accomplish nothing. These guys don't accomplish anything. While these guys are doing that, you got people like LA talking to young black men in his community about violence. You got people like New Possibilities fighting in the courtroom. You got people like myself putting black youth through college and, get these guys going. You got people that's doing all kinds of good stuff, and you got these guys that's doing videos, and they're saying stuff like, oh, they're doing these videos reading off cue cards, and I'm not gonna mention no names, but these guys read off cue cards, and they say stuff like, They want to point out how ridiculous somebody sounds or how each black individual sounds. You got a bunch of them that do that. They take little things and they do videos. Like nobody cares. It's like I said, and I know I'm kind of ranting off, we're going off topic on this. The year of the coon is gone. You guys are, again, if you ever looked at my video, you guys are fired. They don't need you no more. You guys might as well go get your unemployment checks. And I'm going to stop. And this time, for me, I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to respond to a lot of you guys because you guys don't know what you're talking about. A lot of you guys are trying to point out these hypocrisies. You tell black men, real black men, to go after white racists. Why they go after black people when you got black people being racist? This is the funny part about it. You have little black people that's actually talking more racist than the Caucasian. But you got these black people that's supporting black people. This is the funny part about it. You got 2016, 2017. First black president, 8 years. You have all these black judges, black CEOs, and you got black people today following behind buffoonery, coon and shit. And then they tell all of us pro-blacks to go after white people when you got black people that are racist talking and nobody's supposed to be critical of them. And it's funny to me when I hear that stuff. So I said I'm not going to respond to really any more coons. I'm not going to respond to any more critics. Not just coons, but critics. I'm not going to respond to no more black critics. All that fake intellectual stuff. Yeah, these guys are jealous. And shout out to LA because I heard his show last night. A lot of the stuff he said made some sense about individuals making videos after video, trying to prove these points without debating. They don't even debate. They be in comment sections and talking to themselves. You can't really prove anything when you do just videos talking to yourself. That's the thing that these black individuals got to understand. I've noticed with white people. I will say this. A lot of white YouTubers and white people on social media have more courage than a lot of the African American people up in some of the black sector. These are facts. They'll come in and call your show. A lot of white people will call your shit. They're not scary. But you have black people that I'm not going to call in. I'm going to talk to myself. I'm going to talk to myself. I'm going to do these random videos. I'm going to point out inconsistencies in your comment sections. And it's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of these guys. It's not just one or two, because I know you guys think, well, you talk about one. No, it's a bunch of them. A lot of these guys don't debate good. First thing they want to say is, oh, you go after black people. Why did you go after these black people? And then you got people in my comment section talk about my people. You got people mad and in my comment sections talk about I'm trashing their people because I point out historical facts. So, when I listen to these dudes, it cracks me up. It cracks me up listening to these guys try to break down arguments that, the African American people, and again, it's not about being, I'm going to stop saying pro-black, because it's not about just being pro-black either. It's about, these are enemies of the black people, by the way. A lot of these people that's on YouTube are enemies of African American people. A lot of them. A lot of these guys are enemies of the state. A lot of these dudes, they do videos because they don't like black culture. That's where the criticism comes in at. That's why they go after people, certain black individuals on YouTube, to try to prove these different points about, how bad the state of the black race is and how stupid black people are. They talk down to them. And then when you listen to a lot of the arguments, it makes no sense. That's why even myself, and again, I have to give shout outs to certain people because they call the stuff out. And this is my thing too, to any of these guys that be even messing, trolling me, because I think they're trolling me. If you want to debate me, do a Google Hangout, do a blog talk from now on. Because, Cali Guy is not going to respond to a lot of you guys no more. I'm absolutely done. You're not going to see me in your comment sections because I got real business to attend to. I got to go out here and I'm trying to get these brothers and sisters educated. I'm trying to get these guys making money while you guys are sitting up here trying to break conversations down. I don't have time to play with you guys really no more like this. Because you guys, I try to open you guys' eyes, some of you guys' eyes, and you guys don't want to listen. So we're going to attend to other matters that's a little bit more important than messing with you guys. And that's trying to get these brothers and sisters educated and enlightened and not mess around with you guys on these mediocre topics. So you will be, I'm gonna still do my videos, but you're not gonna get no major response out of me anymore. I'm not going to be, unless you guys debate me on a radio show. Man, this goes for like Madhead or anybody else. Yeah, I'm gonna debate you guys on radio shows and video, because I know you guys don't have the debate prep. That's why a lot of you guys come in comment sections and do these videos with cue cards. And I made a mistake. And Madhead, you're right. I made too many videos against you. And so I'm going to remove some of those videos down. I'm going to take them down for one simple reason. Because you will only go in the comment sections and you will only do videos. And that's it. And then you say, and you proved yourself in that video, by the way. You prove that you have no debating skills. So my videos are going to come down this week against you, because you prove that only thing you like doing is back and forth videos. You say in your video that, oh, well, you know, you tell LA, well, let's go on his show, click his link, debate him. If he's so mediocre, hey, you go in and debate him. If I'm, I mean, and I'll do a Google Hangout. You want me to do a Google Hangout? I'll do a Google Hangout. I go on Blog Talk. I got Blog Talk accounts. You call my Blog Talk show. I put the number out there, and because I'm not going to make no more videos to you, Madhead, and there's some other ones too. I just mentioned you because you're more vocal. But there's other ones too. Well, that's in my comment sections. And you know, if you ain't talking about what I want to hear, hey, you know, I'm gonna start taking other tactics, because you guys don't like debating. And LA proved the point. You don't want to debate. You just want to talk junk and talk on your cue cards and talk to yourself. So I'm absolutely done. And I know the video was about new possibilities, but you know, it's about some real shit when I'm talking in this video. So, you know, I'm done with this. You know, I'm going to remove some of my, until you debate, Madhead, until you decide to come on somebody's show. You don't have to debate me. Debate LA or somebody. But you debate somebody, then, you know, we'll have a dialogue. But you don't want to debate. So, you know, hey, that's how it goes. But you guys, like and share this video. Peace out.